I'm Cass. Welcome back to my channel. I am very excited to share with you my flip through for my bullet journal. This is going to be the first 6 months, and I have done some experimenting this year, and I've changed my style. I've tried new spreads and layouts, so I'm very excited to share with you what my journal looks like. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop right into it. Hello and welcome to my mid-year flip through for my 2022 bullet journal, and I'm very excited to share with you what my spreads look like all filled out. So starting straight ahead with January. Now this theme was inspired by Kirby Rosane's art. I am simply obsessed with his style. It is the most stunning thing that ever had come across my feed, and it was very exciting and very fun to create some of these pages that were inspired by his art. And I still am in awe every time I look at this. Sometimes I forget that I'm the one who drew this, just because it's just so detailed and pretty, and I don't know how I spent as long as I did on this. But moving on to the next page, this is my calendar. At the time, I was making full page calendar spreads, and as you can see here, I have Rayquaza wrapped and grabbing the calendar, which I thought was kind of a cool way to create depth and add depth with the clouds in the background and then the calendar and then Rayquaza in the foreground. This was a very exciting time, was when I got monetized on January 19th on YouTube. As for my mood and habit, most of these stayed the same throughout the months. With the habits on the top and then my mood tracker on the bottom right. And I really enjoyed doing this style of mood tracker because it's very visual and easy to see where the spikes were and where the dips were and where my days were average. Just a nice glance at it can tell you exactly which days were good and exactly which days were bad. And then same with my habit tracker, just filling it in with dots and my drawing in the side here. Now, this was my stats page. So for my stats page, essentially I collect music that I'm into at the time or discover, YouTubers that I'm into at the time or discover, and shows. So I have a few shows here, New Girl and Avatar: The Last Airbender, and then YouTuber, basically Reese, some playlists I listen to, and then a bunch of different music that I was listening to at the time. I just love going back and figuring out what I was into each month and which songs that I might be absolutely obsessed with and discovered a certain month. So lots of ATs, lots of K-pop. And then this is one of my pages that I really enjoy making, and it's my scrapbook type pages where, I create a spread for a certain memory. In this case, it was the Set It Off Welcome to Elsewhere tour. I went by myself. It was my very first concert alone, and I had an absolute blast, and I wanted to create a page to commemorate that. So this is what I came up with, and I always include the set list and just little tidbits about the day. And I just love this aspect of bullet journaling, which is creating memory pages like this. Next is my finance tracker, and then my highlights. Again, super basic spreads. All I have is 2 boxes where I track each of my expenses and spending and earning. And then I have my highlights where I just simply write the highlight of my day. Now, it is worth noting that I don't actually create weeklies. I did have a brief stint in March, which you'll see, where I experimented trying to get back into weeklies, but I don't do weeklies. I have a combination of planning through my bullet journal and through Notion, and it has worked for me. So I don't always do weeklies, so I guess I don't properly bullet journal, but I still do a lot of the core spreads for the monthly setups. Next is another scrapbook page. This was for my very first K-pop concert, which was ATEEZ. I have like a little fake ticket I designed that I decided to slide and create this photo as a pocket. Again, I love these collage pages. I have the set list right here, my favorite performance, when I performed in the random dance play, and just a nice little summary, and then a bunch of pictures, which is so fun to look back on. Probably more fun for me than y'all, but it's still a cool way to gather inspiration for different types of spreads, perhaps. This is more of a miscellaneous events type of page. It's not the best because I didn't really dig the black and white. I don't know, this one turned out so much better than this one. But bunch of miscellaneous stuff. Kai's Infinite Journal had posted a story about me, like an Instagram story, and it was just the sweetest thing, so I wanted to keep that as a memory. And same when I sent Stationary Nat a puzzle of all her bullet journal themes. Just cute memories and pictures of just miscellaneous events versus creating a full page for each event. It's just fun to look back on. I love looking back on these sorts of pages. And then I also journal in between each month, so I'm going to kind of hide all those pages because obviously I wouldn't really want y'all reading my journal prompts. And then moving on to February. Now, February was themed after a character from My Hero Academia, and this is Toga. She is my absolute favorite character in My Hero Academia, and she's the villain, and she is simply adorable. So once again, doing the full calendar, except for this time I did individual boxes to fit the style by adding a drop shadow, using the My Hero Academia font. And this is when I started using stickers for different headers, just because I got lazy, or some can say I got efficient. We'll go with the efficient. Again, like I said, my habit and my mood tracker is very similar, with the quote written above and then an image in the corner, but obviously each month is going to have a different picture and quote because I want to continue keeping with the certain theme that I have. Again, finance tracker and my highlights. I really enjoyed this highlights page because instead of having something at the top, I split it into the middle, and it just adds a little bit more pop and pizzazz to this page rather than just two headers side by side. Again, my miscellaneous events page, when it snowed in Texas, which never happens, when Crescent City, House of Sky and Breath came out, baking with my mom, and just doing things with my mom as well. This entire page is just dedicated to her. I spent a lot of time with her in February because I was moving out soon, and I just wanted to spend as much time with her as possible because I love her. And then we're going to skip my journal prompts again, and then we have March, which was themed after Crescent City. So this is Crescent City, the map of the city. And then we have my calendar, again doing individual boxes, janky header. This isn't exactly my favorite theme, I will be honest. I was going with a very limited color palette, so I basically only used red. And some of these things look really good, like the mix of the stickers and the calligraphy, but it's just not my favorite theme. Also, all these circles were very meticulous, and you will never see me do that again in my journal. That was a mistake. Took forever. I think it took about an hour to draw out all those circles. There might be over an hour, or I'm being dramatic. Honestly, I can't remember. Again, very basic spreads, finance and highlights page. And then this is my test dive into trying weeklies again. But then I got busy in April and I fell out of doing them. But very bare bones, very basic, just doing little boxes and using the Ryder Carroll bullet journal method when it comes to arrows, crossing things off, checking things, stuff like that. I went to the One Us Blood Moon tour, and I originally didn't think I was going to love it as much as I did, so I left this blocked off for just adding a little picture. But as you can see, in a second, I thought it was the next page. Let me see where it's at. But as you can see, clearly I needed to create a page all for the concert itself. This is a page for my birthday, which I 100% recommend that you do on your birthday. It is so fun to just, one, see how I looked like when I turned 20, and two, I hung out with a bunch of friends, and just seeing everyone who got together was just so cool. And then this is also a snippet of a birthday card that my friend gave me. I trashed the card but cut out the handwritten note, and I thought that was very sweet to add in. And then tattoos that I got this month, because I loved getting tattoos and I love creating spreads when I get tattoos. And so I had to continue that trend. So I had my lute tattoo and my hourglass tattoo, and I included a snippet of what my design process looked like and which element I wanted added to this, and then the final product, obviously. This was a different weekly setup. I liked this one because it gave me a lot more room to write my to-dos versus this one. You know, there's a lot less when I was busy, but I had to squish my handwriting or use 2 lines just because there wasn't that much space width-wise. But again, not my favorite theme. It's just so plain, so very plain. And then this is the page I showed earlier with my 1US Blood Moon tour. Just so fun. One of my favorite concerts and just one of the best memories so far this year. Another weekly, and then I also tossed in my makeup look for when I went to the Jujutsu Kaisen 0 movie. I wanted to just commemorate my cool makeup, and I had an extra space because there was only 7 days in a week, obviously, so I needed to put something there, and I decided to stick in a picture. This is very random compared to all the other pages that you've seen with my theme, but I wanted to commemorate Stray Kids' new album Ordinary that dropped. And so I had my reaction to each song and the song title here, along with all their teaser photos. And this was a pocket that I originally held my photo cards because this was my first K-pop album that I ever bought. And so I was like, oh, I'll just store my like 2 or 3 photo cards. Except I have bought many more albums since then, and I just took out all the photo cards and put them in a different storage unit. So it is empty, but that's why there's that weird space, because this is actually a pocket. And then back to weeklies. Again, I was experimenting with different spreads and box sizes just to see what was going to work out if I continued making weeklies, which, spoiler alert, I did not. Maybe making weeklies with a theme that I really loved would be more fun, but these are just very boring. Then I have my basic stats, which are actually February stats, but I realized that I didn't leave room for them in February, and I had this random blank page because I didn't have enough photos to fill it up. So I just threw in the stats and wrote that, hey, it was for February. Again, very basic, but it's something that I want to be able to go back and look at and see that, hey, look, Katie is reading. I found her channel in March, and now we've met in person and we're friends. And I think that is so cool. So just different things like that I can look back on, and that's why I make my stats page, just to collect the things that you want to track and look back on. And then miscellaneous events here, decorated with some white gel pens. Super fun, super cool, and we are moving on to April, which is actually themed after another book series, which is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the map found in the book, except for I made it a little fancier. And then calendar, again, the full page, the stickers. I was in a rut a little bit through March and April just because I knew I wanted to do Crescent City and then From Blood and Ash as a theme, but there wasn't a lot for me to use in the theme, so I struggled a bit and wasn't super thrilled with how my spreads turned out. Also, clearly my emotions were all over the place, which I just love the visual that this gives you to know exactly how my month went down. Then I actually put my events page here because this was supposed to be a weekly and a stats page, but that never happened. So instead, I just threw in some pictures and filled the page with some leaves. And then, see, empty week. Didn't write a single thing. This is when I got busy and there was just no point on even trying. And then this is when I went to the Scarborough Renaissance Festival. Included just a bunch of pictures that my friend took or that we took together, and wrote about how the day went. Then we have my journal pages, and we're moving on to May, which is probably, May and June are probably my 2 favorite setups of this month, because I don't know what it is about this craft paper and the washi tape. The grid washi tape with the craft paper with this color palette is just chef's kiss. I love it so much. And then the map as well, keeping with my consistency of drawing maps, which I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do that because I'm running out of maps to draw. So don't hold your breath to see more maps. I have like a few more, but I don't know when I'm going to do them. But moving on to the calendar, this is the first month that I tried doing a small calendar and it worked very well. And this is also the first month that I made a Dutch door. Look at it. I love it so much. So on this side, I have a to-do list. I don't really use the to-do list page clearly, but I need to figure out something else to use on the front of the Dutch door, because right here is my mood tracker. So I decided to do what a lot of people do, which is do my mood tracker using colors. So I have my key down here where orange was really happy days, dark brown was sort of good days, tan is mediocre or average days, and then the lighter brown is bad days. It is kind of hard to see the difference between the two, but if I really cared, I could focus and tell the difference. And then on the flip side of the Dutch door, I have my habit tracker in this sort of graph format, and I really like how satisfying this is compared to the individual habit trackers. So I've been sticking with this for the past 2 months, and I'll probably continue with it until I get burnt out. Here I have my stats page, so movies, YouTube, and music. I clearly didn't watch that much YouTube in May. And then I have my quote, which lines up when the Dutch door is flipped. Again, finance and highlights are exactly the same as they've been, just different decorations on the top around the headers. Again, with the craft paper, something about it just tickles my brain and it makes me so happy to look at. And then we have my May events page, which might be my favorite scrapbook page in this entire journal because the composition turned out so well. You might not care about all the individual photos because obviously it's my life and my memories, but the composition, the sideways photo, the stacking, the layering, the washi tape, the leaves, I just love it. The washi tape with the titles. The craft paper with the titles. So this highlights my move out. I went to a karaoke bar and there was K-pop night. I went to laser tag with some friends, Six Flags, my first party. Just looking at this spread just makes me so happy because it's filled with memories. And if you don't create pages like this, you're missing out. Trust me. It is so fun. So fun to do. And then we move on to June, which is the most minimal theme, I feel like, compared to all of my past ones, especially for the first 4 months. Those were very extravagant compared to this, but again, this washi tape, I will probably use it in every single spread until I get sick of it or I run out because, I don't know, the grid pattern is so satisfying. I love the Avatar font. The theme, I don't know if I mentioned, was Avatar: The Last Airbender. And for May, I forgot to mention the theme was after a book called The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Back to Avatar. Again, same sort of format, small calendar, quote, doodles, washi tape, to-do list that again only has 4 things written down thus far. Granted, I'm only barely halfway through June at this point, but still. Only 4 things. Here's how my mood tracker is looking thus far. My key is down here. Quote, "That's rough, buddy." Iconic. So iconic. And then on the flip side is my habits, which is coming along nicely. I really like the color palette I ended up with this month. I'm learning. As you saw from the previous months, I stuck with either black and white or a single color. I'm trying to branch out. And right now I'm obsessed with neutrals and this green color. So I'm sticking to it. The browns, the green, I don't know. I love what it looks like. Again, movies and music, YouTube, still have not watched that much. This movie though, Molly's Game, I have watched it 4 times within 3 weeks, so I am obsessed with it. It is fascinating. I bought the book. I'm so excited to read it. Lots of new music. Typically, my music is just K-pop songs I find, but I found a new artist, and I have more music to actually add to this. I just don't know how I'm going to fit it. I might add like a little flip because I have so many more songs that I want to add to this list. And then I have my finance and highlights. These, I just love the style of, the little doodles. It looks so good. And then next is my very last page, and that is my Missouri trip. I wanted to create an entire spread for this because that is when I met Katie is Reading, who I mentioned earlier in the video in March when I discovered her YouTube channel. We drove up, me and my friend Lexi drove up to see AJR, and just so many fun memories during this trip, fun little memories like that, and we have reached the end of what my journal looks like. Should I do a sneak peek for my next month? I'll do a little sneak peek. That's all you get. That's all you get. That is the flip through of the first 6 months in my journal, and I will see you in the outro. Thank you so much for watching the video all the way to the very end. It literally means the world to me that you stuck around this long. I know my journal is quite different from the average bullet journal. It's a lot more scrapbooky, and I don't have any weeklies. Well, I had a few, my brief stint in March where I thought I would go back to traditional bullet journaling, but I still consider it a bullet journal even if I don't use the typical Ryder Carroll method, but it works for me. And if you were to take any message from this video, there's not supposed to be a lesson learned, but the lesson that I'm teaching right now is that you have to design a bullet journal that works for you. And just because a lot of YouTubers or people on Instagram bullet journal in a certain way doesn't mean that you have to bullet journal in that way too. Like you saw, my journal is very different, scrapbooky, and it works for me, and I enjoy it, and that's really all that matters. So if you like the video, please do give it a like, comment down below, let's chat, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Toodles!